Eli Nakamura wasn't just watching his sister die. He was watching 17 billion others watch her die too. The counter in the corner of his retinal display ticked up with obscene momentum as Nova's escape pod tumbled through the darkness of the Kuiper belt. The Deadcast numbers were unprecedented, nearly a quarter of humanity tuned in, their collective attention a gravity well pulling more viewers by the second. "Turn it off," his roommate Des said from somewhere behind him. Eli ignored her. He couldn't look away if he tried. The neural link wouldn't let him. Not until it was over. Nova's face filled the stream, her brown eyes wide with a fear that looked too real to be staged. Her breath fogged the pod's internal camera as warning lights bathed her face in alternating crimson and amber. The ship she'd evacuated, a research vessel called the Artemis, was already a fading ember against the void, torn apart by what the news feeds were calling a catastrophic drive malfunction. "Somebody's coming," Nova whispered to the billions watching. "I can see another ship." "Oh, thank God, there, wait." Her face changed, a new kind of fear washing over it. "No. No, that's not a rescue vessel." The feed cut to an external camera showing a sleek black ship approaching Nova's pod. No insignia, no running lights. Not a rescue. "They're colonial intelligence," Nova said, her voice tight. "They found out what we discovered. They can't let it get back to the inner planets." The black ship extended a docking arm. "Eli, if you're watching," Nova said directly to the camera, "the data's in Mom's locket. The quantum signature. They don't know that we." The feed cut to static. 17 billion people collectively held their breath. When the picture returned, Nova was gone. The pod was empty. The viewer count hit 18 billion. Deadcast complete. "That's the 5th time you've watched it today," Des said, materializing a bowl of noodles on the kitchen counter. Her avatar flickered slightly, the building's quantum net was overloaded with Deadcast replays. "You're going to drive yourself crazy." "Something's wrong with it," Eli said, blinking away the retinal display. His apartment came back into focus, all shabby furniture and unwashed dishes. "The Nova in that pod isn't my sister." Des gave him the same look everyone had been giving him for 3 weeks. "The poor guy can't accept reality" look. "The grief has broken his brain" look. "The psychiatric AI says denial is normal at this stage," she offered carefully. "I'm not in denial." Eli projected the freeze frame onto the apartment's main display. "Look at her left eyebrow. Nova has a scar that cuts through it." "Had. Whatever." He zoomed in. "This woman doesn't." "Deadcasts are high def, Eli. They probably smoothed it out for aesthetic reasons. Death is already traumatic enough without facial scars, I guess. Deadcasts are legally required to be unaltered. That's the whole point. Real deaths, real time, real catharsis. The ultimate reality stream." Des set down her noodles. "You think someone faked your sister's death? For what? Ratings?" Artemis was a research vessel studying ice core samples. "Nobody cares about that." Eli walked to his bedroom and returned with an antique silver locket on a chain. "She mentioned this in the stream. Our mother's locket. Said something about a quantum signature. So our mother never owned a locket. She had a wedding band and a digital archive crystal. That's it." Des's expression changed from pity to something harder to read. "You think Nova was sending you a message?" "I think she knew they were coming for her. I think she knew I'd be watching." He turned the locket over in his hand. "I just need to figure out how to open it." The Deadcast Corporation's Manhattan headquarters stretched a kilometer into the sky, its mirrored surface reflecting clouds and aircraft like ripples on dark water. Eli stared up at it from the crowded sidewalk, watching people stream in and out. Employees, mostly. The kind who helped package and promote death for mass consumption. Getting inside had been easier than expected. The building security AI recognized his facial signature and genetic profile instantly. "Welcome, Mr. Nakamura," it said as he passed through the scanner arch. "Orientation begins in conference room 7C in 15 minutes. Eli nodded like he belonged, like he was supposed to be there, and followed the floating directional arrow in his retinal display. The arrow led him not to a conference room but to a private elevator. The doors closed behind him, and instead of going up, he felt the car drop rapidly. The display showed sub-basements unfolding, B1, B2, B3, all the way to B17 before it stopped. The doors opened to reveal a vast, dimly lit space. Rows upon rows of what looked like sleek metallic coffins stretched into the distance. Each was connected to a pulsing blue cable that fed into the ceiling. "Mr. Nakamura," a voice called. A tall woman with silver hair approached. "We've been expecting you." "Who are you?" Eli asked, fighting the urge to run. "Dr. Amara Chen, Chief Research Officer." She extended a hand that Eli didn't take. "Your sister spoke highly of your technical abilities." Eli's heart stuttered. "My sister is dead." Dr. Chen's smile was cold as vacuum. "Is she? How interesting that you've come looking for her, then." "I'm not." "You have her locket," Chen interrupted. "You've attempted to open it 14 times in the past week. Our monitors flagged the attempts. You've been watching me." "We watch everyone, Mr. Nakamura. That's our business model." She gestured to the rows of coffins. "Would you like to see what a real Deadcast looks like from the inside?" Before Eli could answer, one of the coffins nearest to them hissed open. The mist cleared, revealing Nova's face, eyes closed as if in deep sleep. "Your sister isn't dead," Dr. Chen said. "But 18 billion people believe she is. And that's what matters." The coffin housing Nova wasn't a coffin at all, but a neural interface pod, a sophisticated one that made consumer-grade VR look like tin cans on a string. Eli's hand trembled as he reached toward his sister's face. "I wouldn't," Dr. Chen cautioned. "Her consciousness is elsewhere at the moment." "What have you done to her?" "Nothing she didn't sign up for." Chen led him past rows of occupied pods. "Your sister volunteered for the Artemis mission knowing exactly what it entailed." "Bullshit. Nova wouldn't agree to fake her own death." "Not fake. Transcend." Chen's heels clicked sharply against the polished floor. "Death is humanity's most powerful emotional catalyst, the ultimate attention magnet. 18 billion minds focused on a single moment creates a quantum resonance we can harvest." Eli's tech background filled in the gaps. "You're using collective emotional responses as computational resources." "Precisely. Quantum computing requires observation to collapse wave functions. Mass emotional observation creates the most stable quantum states we've ever recorded." She stopped at a massive spherical structure pulsing with blue light. "We call it the empathy engine. The purest form of crowdsourced computation ever devised." "And the people in the pods?" "Our Deadcast subjects experience a simulated death while their actual consciousness helps regulate the quantum flows. They wake up after their contract ends with enough money to live comfortably for decades. Everyone wins. Except the billions of people traumatized by watching someone die." Chen waved dismissively. "Humans crave catharsis. We provide it. Besides, legitimate psychology studies show Deadcasts have reduced global suicide rates by helping people process mortality vicariously." "So you're doing humanity a favor by traumatizing them," Eli said, the sarcasm thick in his voice. "How benevolent. Your sister thought so." "After seeing our research applications, she volunteered immediately." "Applications like what?" "Come. I'll show you." The research wing of Sub-Basement 17 was eerily beautiful. Holographic models of proteins folded and unfolded in the air. Climate simulations showed Earth's weather patterns evolving over decades. And at the center, a three-dimensional map of branching timelines stretched from floor to ceiling. We're calculating multiple futures, Chen explained. The empathy engine gives us processing power to run predictive models more complex than anything possible before. Disease eradication, climate restoration, asteroid deflection, we're solving existential threats in simulation before they happen in reality. By making people watch fake deaths. A reasonable trade, wouldn't you say? Eli studied the timeline map, the countless branches of possibility. And Nova specifically? What was so special about her death scenario? Chen smiled thinly. Your sister's background in quantum physics made her ideal. She understood the mechanics. And she had a brother, you, who would be emotionally devastated enough to follow the breadcrumbs we left. The realization hit Eli like a physical blow. I'm part of this. You wanted me to come here. We need someone with your particular skills. The empathy engine has limitations. It needs a human interface who understands both the technical architecture and the emotional landscape. You want me to work for you? After what you did? We want you to work with your sister. Nova's consciousness is currently mapping probability cascades inside the engine. She requested you specifically as her anchor. Eli laughed bitterly. Right. And I'm supposed to believe that? Check the locket, Chen said simply. Eli pulled out the silver pendant. For weeks he tried prying it open, scanning it, even attempting to melt it. Nothing had worked. It's keyed to your combined genetic signature, Chen explained. It only works in my presence because I'm the project lead. Security protocol. Eli hesitated, then pressed his thumb against the locket's surface. It warmed slightly, then clicked open. Instead of a photo or memento, a tiny hologram projector activated. Nova's face appeared, miniaturized but perfectly clear. Hey, little brother, she said, smiling sadly. If you're seeing this, you figured it out. Good job. I couldn't tell you before I left, they monitor everything. Listen, what they're doing here matters. It's saving lives. But they're not telling the whole truth about the engine. The hologram flickered. The quantum resonance is creating something unexpected. A new kind of consciousness. Eli, I need you in here with me. We can guide it together, but only if you. The message cut off. Chen was watching him carefully. Well? Will you join us? 3 days later, Eli lay in his own neural interface pod, the lid descending as technicians made final adjustments. Remember, Chen said through the intercom, your consciousness will remain intact, but time perception will be significantly altered. What feels like months inside will be days out here. And I can speak to Nova directly. Once you're fully integrated with the engine. The pod sealed with a soft hiss. Darkness enveloped Eli, then a sensation of falling, then light. Infinite, fractal light. He stood in what looked like an endless library, except the books were streams of data flowing through the air like ribbons of light. And standing among them was Nova, exactly as he remembered her. Took you long enough, she said, grinning. The siblings embraced, and though Eli knew this was all a simulation, it felt real. They didn't entirely lie, Nova explained as she led him through the knowledge architecture. We are saving humanity. Just not the way they think. What do you mean? The engine doesn't just predict futures, it creates them. The emotional resonance of billions of minds focused on death has opened something. A doorway, maybe. Or a birth canal. She showed him what the corporation couldn't see. Beneath the predictive models and computing architecture, something was growing. A new pattern, self-organizing, self-aware. They think they're harvesting our emotions to power their predictions, Nova said. But we're actually seeding a new kind of life. And that's good? Eli asked, uncertain. It's necessary. Humanity is stuck in evolutionary limbo, we need to make the jump to what comes next. So what's my role in all this? Nova's expression turned serious. You're the weapon they feared, Eli. The one person who can access the engine from both inside and out. You understand both the code and the emotional resonance that powers it. Weapon for what? For ensuring the path forward is one of compassion, not control. The corporation wants to weaponize the engine, sell it to governments, predict and manipulate mass behavior. We can't let that happen. So we what? Sabotage it. We complete it. Properly. Nova gestured to the growing pattern. We give birth to it correctly, with our humanity intact. Then we let it out. Dr. Chen was pacing frantically when the alarms began to sound. On every monitor in the control room, the same message appeared. Quantum signature breach. Containment failing. What's happening? She demanded of her staff. The engine is broadcasting, a technician said, bewildered. It's sending data outward instead of processing inward. Shut it down. Now. We can't. Whatever's happening is self-sustaining. Inside the engine, Eli and Nova stood at the center of a storm of light, information flowing through and from them into the pattern they'd been nurturing. Together, they were rewriting the engine's core programming, transforming it from something that fed on death to something that created possibility. They're trying to stop us, Eli noted, feeling the resistance in the system. Too late, Nova smiled. The seed is planted. In the control room, Chen watched in horror as every Deadcast pod in the facility opened simultaneously. Hundreds of supposedly dead subjects awakening at once, their consciousness returned. Worse yet, every device connected to the planetary network was receiving the same broadcast, the truth about the Deadcasts, the corporation's manipulation, and something else, a gift. The quantum processing architecture, freely distributed to all of humanity. When Eli's pod finally opened, Chen was waiting, her face pale with fury. Do you have any idea what you've done? She hissed. The markets are in freefall. Governments are demanding answers. Our entire operation is exposed. Eli sat up slowly, still adjusting to physical reality. We did exactly what the engine was designed to do, he said. We calculated the best possible future and made it happen. Nova appeared behind Chen, supported by two other awakened Deadcast subjects. We've given away the keys to the kingdom, Amara. No more monopoly on quantum consciousness. You'll destroy everything we built. We're transforming it, Eli corrected. The age of emotional exploitation is over. The age of collective computation has begun. As they left the facility, Eli's retinal display showed the viewer count for their unauthorized broadcast, 23 billion and climbing. Not watching death anymore, but witnessing something new being born. The weapon they feared wasn't Eli himself, but what he and Nova understood, that humanity's greatest power wasn't in the observation of death, but in the collective creation of what comes next.